Welcome, Devin, to Ground Up with Natalie. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. We love Natalie.
We start every episode with the Ground Up 3, which are 3 very difficult questions. So, Devin, where are you from?
Oh, no. I'm just kidding. I'm from Texas. Okay. A little town called Lufkin, Texas, to be exact.
Do you know how many people occupy?
I think it's like 3,719. And if you're going female to male ratio, it is not great.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually how I became a homosexual. You know,
really?
Just the ratio was off. So I was like,
off.
we gotta do something.
Oh my God. That is such a specific number.
That is. You know, it just came to me.
It just came to you. Small town. Wow. And you made it all the way to LA.
Which is crazy. I have to look back sometime and be like, wow, that's where I came from.
I know. So that's the next question. What was your first dream job?
In the industry or just in general?
In general.
Oh, I wanted to be a zoologist.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't a very good reader, but I read some book in the 3rd grade. Can't tell you what it's called. But the girl in it, her dad was a zoologist, and she had all these crazy animals in her house. And I was like, I love animals. I want to be a zoologist because it means I'll have all the animals. And then I realized after getting a dog that I can barely handle myself, let alone a dog. And then 2, that you have to go to school for like 7 to 11 years. And I was like, I don't even want to go for a semester. There's not.
Wow.
No, so I'll be an actor.
Yeah, so I'll do this thing. I don't have to go to college at all.
Right.
That was my thing too. I went to community college and I was like, oh, a psychologist could be cool. And you know, they break everything down because you're trying to figure out what you want to do. So in college, you go to the, I don't know, what's it called? The career
center.
Yes, the career center. And you're like, I think this is what I want to do. And she's like, okay, yeah, it's approximately like 8 years before you can start making 6 figures. And I was like,
and then you're like, I'll be an actor. It's approximately 8 to 10 years before you can make
I know.
5 figures.
That's so true. That's so true. Literally. I made crumbs. That's such a good point. Yeah. Whatever. For something that's like not even stable, you never know.
Oh, no, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Okay, and then the next question is, what was your first paid job? But not in the industry, unless it was in the industry, which I don't think that it was.
Oh, no. Okay, my very first paid job. I taught gymnastics and dance for a little bit at a studio called the Academy of Gymnastics and Dance. I was like the cheernastics instructor. I taught like little kids how to do back bends and somersaults.
You're so good. You would be so good at that.
I was so good at it.
And you kind of did, like, when you were out here in LA, which we'll get to. I want to hear the ground up story, like how you came out here and everything. But you taught dance or
no Soul
Cycle. Yes. So you're, but it's like movement, right?
Yeah.
Why do I think you're a dancer?
I've recently started taking dance classes, and I posted a video, and ever since then people are like, oh, you're a dancer, and I was like, no, I took a class and I happen to be kind of okay at it.
Yeah, you see, I think that's the thing. You also look like a dancer and move like a dancer, and you have the energy. I feel like dancers are so always like full of like vitality.
One more time.
Vitality. My double D's.
Yo. That's actually, I named my future self, and his name is Double D Dev.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Dollars, discipline, and I also want 2 giant pecs.
I got you.
Yeah.
I love that. Ooh.
Double
future self.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta name my future self.
It really helps
Mama
keep me
Nat.
focused.
No, I'm just kidding.
Mama Nat. You're pregnant with like 9 kids. All at once. You're giving birth to a litter.
CEO actor Mama Nat. So uncreative. I'm so uncreative.
We'll work on it.
Yeah,
By the end of the ground up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So take us back. Devin's in Texas. He's teaching gymnastics. When do you know that you want to be an actor?
Oh, so good question. So I'm in my town of 3,172 people. Oh, whatever the number was. And you know what's so funny is I actually didn't know that acting was a job. For some reason, I just thought that the people on TV just were on TV. I didn't know you could do that. So when I was a child, they called me a shadow kid. So essentially I had extreme social anxiety and would hyperventilate if someone who wasn't my grandma or my mom or my brother spoke to me. So I lived the first like 12 and a half years of my life just in like silence. Like, yeah, it was crazy, especially knowing me now, like looking back, it's insane. I had to go to child behavioral play therapy where, I mean, it'll get deep real quick, but like the only game I wanted to play was hide and seek because And I always wanted to hide because I was waiting on my mom to come and find me. It was like this whole like situation. So TV for me was like a really beautiful escape. And I remember I loved the movie The Wizard of Oz because my favorite part of the movie was when Dorothy landed in Oz and she opens the door. And I didn't realize that movies were moving me in this way. When she opens the door and her world goes from black and white to color. And I remember thinking as a child, like, I cannot wait until my life turns to color, you know? And so moving from there, 14 years old, I get this personality. I'm like, oh, big hair, and I have this giant afro. High School Musical is out. So everyone's calling me Corbin Blue. Like, it's this whole thing. And I'm garnering attention. I watch a movie Will Smith is in called I Am Legend, and there's a scene where his best friend, again, it's this man who's alone in the world, and I was like, I can relate. I have so much trauma as a child, and his best friend in the world is this dog. Remember, I love animals. I want to be a zoologist, and it's this moment where his dogs, and if you've not seen the movie, spoiler alert, you've had 20 years. But his dog starts turning into this zombie, and he has to his dog, and he's sitting there staring forward, and these tears are just breaking as he, by his own hands, is literally just getting rid of the only thing he has left in this world, right? And I remember sitting there, and I was like, if I can do this, if I can do that, I want to do that, right? And again, I didn't know that acting was a job. I was just like, wow,
right.
wow, 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 wow.
Right.
A zombie movie moved me like that,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
So I was 19 years old. I was hideous. Like, people were like, I can show you photos. We'll throw one up or whatever.
I know, it's so hard to believe. No. You're so handsome.
I had I would pick my hair out. I had this afro at a trash stash so that my mustache would only grow right here. I wore Wrangler jeans and Christian word shirts. So it would be like the Starbucks logo, but it would look like Jesus. And it'd be like, Jesus saves. Or like Reese's Pieces. And it would be like, Jesus saves.
Rose from the dead.
Yeah, exactly. And I had one for every day. So it was like.
So you were Christian. Hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My parents are pastors. It was
okay.
Yeah, I was very, and I wore these shirts.
You're like, that was me.
Yeah. It was my identity. And one of my friend's moms submits me to a model search and doesn't tell me.
Someone saw, you couldn't be that.
Oh, no, it was tragic. The only people who told me I was cute were people's moms.
Okay.
It was not and they're like, you're so adorable.
Yeah.
Like, you're just precious. Like, thanks. Like, zero sex appeal. I was not being sexualized by anyone. Yeah, I was a very ugly duckling story. So I go, this agency calls me. I think it's a scam, so I just hang up. I'm like, oh, I'm a model? No way. And they end up calling back, and they're like, hey, no, we're serious, we're legitimate. The Kim Dawson agency in Dallas. And then so I drive 3.5 hours up to Dallas. I meet with them.
By yourself?
No, my friend Isaiah comes with me. And they're like, cool. They shaved my mustache. They give me a haircut. They're like, never wear word shirts ever again.
Oh my God.
Like, completely give me this makeover, and I started working, like modeling. And it was amazing. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Still, like, modeling's not a real job. Acting is not attainable. And then finally they were like, oh, you like to act? And I was like, well, I've never done it before, but I and they're like,
I dabbled.
Yeah. And then so I started, taking acting classes, and it was this woman named Catherine Sullivan. She teaches out of Louisville. She discovered Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her son is Cody Lindley. He was in Hannah Montana.
Which character in Hannah Montana?
Like her really hot boyfriend.
Yeah, Jake Ryan?
Jake Ryan, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So his mom, she's amazing. Yeah, Catherine Sullivan. And
so she discovered you?
Yeah, well, I guess technically when I was handed her as like a raw gemstone, she really buffed,
wow.
like really taught me. Well, she saw the value in me before I did, and then she really invested in me, and she was the person who made the introduction to my LA agent. So that's how I got signed with Innovative Artists with Jennifer Petrides, and yeah, she really has just been like a huge guardian angel in my life.
Wow. Yeah. So how long was it before you moved to LA and got signed? Like, how long were you pursuing?
I probably started taking classes probably like 4 years. Just like
figuring this thing out, like what's going on.
Not getting audition. I'm literally taking like acting classes with like 9-year-olds,
Yes.
you know, like because she has like you have to work your way up the program.
Exactly.
And it's like me, a grown man, like me, like hello.
So you're 19 at this point. 20.
I was like 20 when I started going to her
Hello.
classes. Yeah, exactly, and they're like
Will you
better
be my
than me.
scene partner this week?
Can you read this? It's from Good Will Hunting. Like, it's not your fault. And I'm like, you know, like just it's so funny when you look back at it. But I had no idea, and just no idea, like. And I had, just my energy went out to here. And my lesson in acting was being like, hey, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. And I'm like, I am myself. And they're like, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. And I was like, I am myself. I am myself. So, and you're like, oh, I don't know who I am.
Right.
You know?
Honing in. I mean, when do we ever like know who we are, right? Especially at that age. But I feel like back then too, it was... You talked about you kind of have this blind confidence, right? Because you're not sitting there being like, I can't do this. You're like showing up at the classes. You're like, this is cool. Like this can actually be something. Like, holy shit, I'm signed. I feel like these days with social media, someone could get super detoured from like pursuing it because they're like, how do I get from this small town in Texas, even though someone did believe in me, to on that screen? Because they see all this stuff on social media. How do you think social media has affected the way that people pursue passions like a career in acting?
You know, I think social media, it's a double-edged sword. You know, it's really beautiful in the sense that now we have access to dreams we didn't know we could dream, right? We're seeing people who are seemingly ordinary or just like us, like do these incredible things. It's, you know, it's like the person who ran the first 5-minute mile. They're like, it's impossible to run a 5-minute mile. And after that, I don't know the statistics, but I don't know the statistics on that. But after that, so many more people ran 5-minute miles, right? So the gift of social media is going, hey, you are capable. It's also going, and I think this is more of a shadow side that people don't want to acknowledge, it's going, or this is my belief, I'm like, just because you are allowed access into this room does not mean that you are qualified to be in this room or space. And I think that people oftentimes get these like, I don't know, like superhero syndrome, you know, where they're like, oh, I'm deserving, I'm worthy, I'm enough, why aren't I getting paid this much, why aren't I getting, you know, like, why? And it's like, well, you haven't put in the time, you've not put in the dedication, the discipline. Just because you say you're something, it doesn't detract from the fact that you are. If you decide you're an actor, you are an actor.
Right.
But you have to put in the hours, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the discipline and the time to be a paid actor, to be a serious actor. And there are people who win the lottery, and we see what the work looks like, you know? You know, some people have God-given talent and skills, and you're like, wow, they're so naturally talented. Some people don't, and they just get a really good chance, and they blow it because they don't want to work, right? Oh my gosh, I don't want to sound like Kim Kardashian on this. People just need to work. But I'm like,
no,
yeah,
it's true though. Yeah. Well, okay, here's the thing with acting. I love everything you said. And I love how you did like almost a positive spin on social media, and then you just simply talked about hard work, and that's even like. People are like, I want to be, you know, a blogger. And like, we have a couple blogger friends. It's like, there's actually like 10 years of hard work that went behind, you know, starting getting those brand deals and things like that. So for acting, it is 100%. Even if you do get that lucky big like role or something, sometimes what happens is if you start up here, it can very much more likely go and crash down, you know, whereas it's kind of nice to stay on like a consistent trajectory and watch it kind of blossom rather than, you know, 10 minutes of fame type of thing.
I was so fortunate. When I got signed with my agent, she did not want to sign me. She was very much like, I took a courtesy meeting with you. Like, it was like, I did this as a favor to Catherine and your Texas agency. I walked in the door. She was like, hi, my name's Jennifer. I'm not going to sign you. Literally the first thing she came out of her mouth. And I was like, that's okay. I just want some advice, you know? And at
just
the point,
happy to be here.
I was like, I don't know anything about this industry. I was 4 years old. I didn't know, you know, I just knew that I'd been taking acting classes. And I remember I ended up doing, like, she's reading my resume and she's like, oh, you do acro yoga? And she's like, I do yoga. And I was like, okay. I take my shoes off. I lay on the floor. I throw her up in acro yoga poses. Like, this is my very first time meeting her. Hindsight, I'm like, who in the world does that? Like, and then a cold room turned into a really warm room. Like, all the people in the office started running over, taking photos. It was like, I set her down and she's like, well, maybe I can send you on a few things, you know? And then after that, she called and she was like, okay, I've decided I'm going to assign you as developmental. She's like, but this is going to be a really slow process, you know? Because
it's a bigger agency.
Oh yeah. Innovative artists. They're
yeah.
great. And I understood. I was like, okay, I don't know what any of these words mean, but I do know I trust you because the people in my life trust you. So, she then, made a plan. She's like, I want you to become a SoulCycle instructor. And I was like, what? I thought you wanted me to be an actor, you know? And she's like, what SoulCycle do? This is back when SoulCycle was at like its peak.
Yeah.
Like it was really, really cool. Everybody was doing it, all the things. And she's like, it will desensitize you to the glam of LA. Like famous people will be coming to your classes, important people. She's like, casting directors will come to your class. Managers, she's like, if you become proficient and good at this, they'll start rooting for you and cheering for you. She's like, it'll keep you in shape. It'll keep you financially stable so you're not desperate when you go out in auditions because people can smell it. Oh, it was amazing.
What a cool woman.
And it'll give you a community so you're not alone when you're here.
Genius.
And I was like, okay, let's do it. She and I both didn't realize what trying to become a SoulCycle instructor was going to be, because at the time I had to audition. Then I had to move to New York for 3.5 months for training. And during this time in training, I was getting paid pennies, like literally minimum wage for only the hours we were working. But you know how they'll do that. They're like, and I was sleeping on a 5-story walk-up floor in Harlem next to a dilapidated fireplace that was infested with ants. I'm not lying to you. Like on the floor, like for 3.5 months. Like I went through this, and all in my head I was like, I wanted to be an actor.
You're like, where am I?
I was like, what am I doing? I become a SoulCycle instructor, which was not a skill or a dream I possessed. I then moved back to LA and I'm teaching SoulCycle. She's not sending me on auditions. Like she's like, all right, keep working, go to take class, do this. She'll send me a random self-tape. I did it. She's like, nope. You know, like
wouldn't even submit it.
She's like, I'm not. Just so you know, I didn't send that. And I was like,
oh my God,
what? And I was like, but I'm here. I moved. I did the thing. You know, if social media would have taught me this, it taught me you come here, you become a superstar. Why am I a fitness instructor? Why am I like? And then if I just listened, I was like, I put her. She hired me, and I hired her for a reason, because she's super smart and I trust her. All right, if I trust her, and I also know myself to know my path. My dream is, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be what Will Smith was to me. I'm going to be what Judy Garland was to me. You know, I'm going to be that to a kid sitting at their home, not knowing how to communicate, like being super depressed, staring at a TV screen, just hoping to feel something through. I'm going to be that, you know? And because it was given to me, and that's what I will give away, you know? And so I had that dream, and I was just moving forward. Cut to, literally, I'm a SoulCycle instructor for 4 years. I maybe have gone on 6 auditions in 4 years, but I also was like, I started to get frustrated, not at her, but at the waiting process. I'm like, well, I haven't booked anything. I started, you know, I was at Leslie Kahn for a little bit. I don't know if I'd met you at this point, but
acting classes.
Yeah, taking acting classes, doing all the things, and then I stopped and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be here and I'm going to say I'm an actor, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to become like an actor. So I signed up for 5 different classes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, during the week. For 3 months, I went to a sketch writing class. I went to an improv class. I went to an audition technique class. I started taking privates at Leslie Kahn, which I didn't even know they offered. And then I did this theater class. And fortunately, because I had SoulCycle and I had modeling still, it was paying my bills, so I could invest in my education when it came to acting. But it was the first time I was like, oh, this is what it means to radically work for something. And then what that process was teaching me, it wasn't about like how to do a reversal or like how to have thoughts or how to like dig into your character. It was teaching me about myself. And I was like, oh, I actually don't know myself, you know? And I was like, how in the world do I expect to be able to transform into someone else if I don't even know how to be myself? And that was the moment that I was like, and I was like, I'm cutting my hair. I had this big curly hair at the time. Wow. Everyone was like, don't cut your hair. That's how you're getting paid. I cut my hair.
You're like, I'm not getting paid.
I'm not getting, well, I am through modeling. I was making so much money. And commercially, I could sell a phone book, you know?
Right.
And I was like, but you know, fear came up and it's like, but you can't do this. Then how? And my soul knew, it's like, you don't know what your face looks like. You have no idea what you look like. Devin, you're hiding behind your hair.
Wow.
And you're saying, oh, my hair is my strength. No, your hair is your hindrance. Cut your hair. I cut my hair. I cried. Literally, I was sitting in the seat. The lady cut my hair, and I was like, I cried, and I was like, never seen my face. I did not know my face looked like this.
Wow.
Handsome. I did not know I looked like this. I thought I was someone's best friend. I'm a leading man.
Oh my God.
You know, and I had been auditioning for someone's bestie, you know, and I was like, casting's not working for me because I've been pursuing something that it's not in alignment with how I was created. And I was like, and my mindset was not in alignment to be a leader, to be a leading man, because no one told me that a person of color, a biracial little boy who was coming into his queerness could lead a show. And then I booked Grey's Anatomy. Literally, Grey's Anatomy was my very first callback ever. Mm-hmm. And I booked the job. It became a reoccurring role. They wrote my character to kill him. After I was guaranteed 5 episodes, after they worked with me and met me, they were like, we're not going to kill you. And it was this really great moment. Then the pandemic hit. And I was like, oh, crap. You know, that sucks.
Right.
And then, but now I know that I can work. I know what I'm working towards. Right. I'm like, oh, I'm not someone's best friend. I am. But I'm like, in casting, I'm going to go up for leading man.
Yeah.
And
you had to see that for yourself before anyone else was going to see you.
Exactly.
As that.
You can't. And I mean, people look at you, Nat, and they're like, all right, it's like, you're a bombshell. You're like hella athletic. You are like femme fatale. Like, they're not going to put you up against some like,
right.
Like, and be like, yeah, the hot villainess girl is not going to stand next to you because, you're pulling focus. Let me tell you, you know. So if you're auditioning for her, then, yeah, it's not.
Wow.
It's not it. You have to know yourself. And I think, I mean, no one asked me, but I think a big problem with actors, we love to project things onto people, right? They're like, well, this problem's with you. This is like, my team's not doing enough. Like, oh, I need to go get new headshots. It's my headshots. It's this, it's that. And I'm like, you need to take a deep breath. You need to get centered. And you need to ask yourself questions that you don't know the answer to. Like, who are you? You're like, well, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, no, that's who you were told you were. That's who you were last year. Who are you today? What do you want to do? Well, I want to be, no, that's what you've been saying. That's what you've rehearsed in your mind. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Well, I want to be, the funny guy. Why? Do you actually want to be the funny guy, or were you told that you're the funny guy? And it's like, get to know yourself and then adjust, you know? Mm-hmm. I was like, love that version of yourself, period. And then what happens. You may find out that you actually don't want to be an actor. Mm-hmm. Like, you know.
Oh my God, Devin, yes.
It's just wild.
It is such great advice that you're giving. I cannot wait for this community to listen to this and take it in, because that is step number 1. People are up in my DMs. How do I become a working actor? You know? And I have such a passion for teaching and mentoring young actors. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I say is kind of like the log line we learned at Leslie Kahn, right? Do you remember that?
Which one?
Like the clinic is you learn your log line. Like I remember mine 8 years ago was Pretty Little Liars meets Nina Dobrev, right? It's
oh my gosh, mine was if Corbin Bleu played PETA in the Hunger Games. Yes, and exactly. I remember looking at people and being like, rejecting it. I was like, hell no. And not because I don't think PETA in the Hunger Games is great, not because I don't think Corbin's great. Yeah. I think they're both great. Right. But that's not me.
You. Yeah. It's a very surface level, and especially in that example, other people were telling you. Mm-hmm. So but what I think that people need to do along those lines is like, you need to figure that out. Like as an actor, who are you? What do you want to play? Because when you go into that first meeting, whatever you say, whatever you give off, the only thing that the agent or manager can do is take that in. Mm-hmm. And if they like you and they want to sign you, guess what? They're going to run with that information. If they're really good, like this agent.
Jennifer Petridis.
Who
she's so smart.
Phenomenally, because I feel like in that moment where you were like, after those 4 years, after you were working as an instructor and you got your haircut and you were like, oh, this is who I am. I feel like that was Jennifer's moment of being like, yes, this is what I've been saying. I've been waiting for this, And
she was like, thank you for trusting me. Yes. And what was so cool is too, that's how I got my manager, Michael Baum. He's an amazing, an amazing manager. Like, he came and took my Soul Cycle class, and he was like, "Are you an actor?" And I said, "Yes." And he's like, And called Jennifer. They set up a meeting, and and he represents like Ana de Armas and
my favorite.
Do you watch The Boys?
The Voice?
The Boys?
No, audition for it.
Oh, Homelander in The Boys.
Okay.
He's like, I don't really remember his name, but he's an amazing actor. Literally,
Okay.
you're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, oh, wow, he represents him. He has like a ton of like all-star clients, and I was like, how? I'm not worthy, and you're sitting here telling me I'm worthy. And for the first time, Michael, I remember, I always thought I was the funny guy, funny best friend. And he looked at me and he's like, I don't know, I just think there's something like darker and deeper about you. And I was like, finally, for the first time, someone sees me. I was like, that's the part that I can never acknowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was amazing. And you're like, oh, I'm a firm believer. There is the whole get to know yourself, but you also have to get to know the 5 closest people around you. We are the sum of the 5 closest people around you. My grandma always says, you sleep with dogs, you wake up with fleas, and there are mentality, the people that we put around us, they have the ability to impress upon us, right? Especially if you're in a developmental state. I believe if we're in a cocoon, something we forget about metamorphosis is that caterpillar melts when it's in a cocoon. So it becomes goo, And so while we're goo, anyone that we talk to about anything, our personal life, our mind, they then get the ability to impress upon us. And when they impress upon us, they shape us, they mold us, even if we don't know that it's happening, right? So if you look at the 5 closest people around you, like those are the people that are influencing
Be specific.
you. Absolutely. Like, who are you confiding in? Who is representing you? Are these people that you want to represent you in their character and their morality and the way they see you and the things they say about you? Is it in alignment with who you believe you are? If you do not know who you are, look at your friends and they will inform you through their actions who you are. You're like, oh, that person lacks integrity. That person's a liar. This person like cancels plans all the time. Crap.
Why do you think people are so scared to kind of start shedding people in their lives who they know are toxic for them?
Well, I don't believe I mean, a lot of people do work and they're like, that person's toxic. But until you KNOW something, like capitalize, know it, a lot of people don't act,
Oh,
they're like, well, I don't have all the, but
unconscious.
Yeah, it's missionary dating. You date with the intention of saving someone. You become friends with the intention of saving someone. Oh, they've been loyal to me, so I have to be loyal. We've been best friends since we were in the 9th grade. Like, oh, they're just going through a rough patch. I'm like, baby, that rough patch is 5 years. Like, I'm like, they are pulling you down, and like, you can still associate with them, sure, but recognize the people closest to you, you will become. Period. Point blank. That is one of my firm beliefs. Yeah. I'm like, and if there's someone in your circle who you're like, that you wouldn't bring anywhere, you know what I'm saying? Right. That you do not feel safe taking into any room, that should let you know that you need to distance yourself from that situation. And that doesn't mean have a breakup. It doesn't mean have a conversation. I'm like, naturally allow the relationship to be what it is. Yeah. Stop forcing it.
Right.
Like, if you don't want to text them every day, guess what? Don't.
So what advice would you give? I feel like so many actors, they hold on to their agents. I mean, we're talking about relationships right now. They hold on to their agents and managers because they're signed. And it's so hard to get signed. However, they have no relationship with them. They don't speak to them. They don't go on auditions, but they're like, no, I'm signed. And in your case, what you said was like, I need to do everything in my power, right? We get 90% of the check. They get 10%. We need to be doing 90% of the work.
Absolutely. I love you.
Yeah, we need to do everything in our power to make it happen. We're in the industry of trying to pursue being an actor in TVs and films and getting paid more than a majority of people in America. Like, that's going to take a lot of work. And so, to your point, people sit there and they blame. And it's like, look at what you can control. And take inventory on the relationships surrounding your acting career, right? So that goes back to my question about agents and managers. How can someone gain the confidence to fire their agent and manager if it's not working out for them? Have you ever had to do that? Do you have the same reps?
I have the exact same reps that I started with because God is good. All the time. And I do want to pause this question first because there was a lesson that you taught me through your actions years ago that it stayed with me. You had just booked a series regular, and I drove down to Long Beach to shoot Disney stores modeling. And this is a job where it's amazing people work there. Like, it's so fun. But we were doing Halloween costumes. Specifically, they dressed me up like Oogie Boogie Man. Oogie Boogie Man. If you don't know what he looks like, Google him. So that's just like the quality of work we're doing. I show up, Natalie is there working. And she's like, oh yeah, I just booked a series regular. Like, I'm like, we're getting paid $200. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you're a series regular on TV. You had to drive multiple hours to get to this point to shoot for an hour to make $200. And in my head, I was like, if I book a series regular, I ain't never doing this ever again. Why are you? And I never said it out loud, but in my head, I was like, why? And then I stopped going, why are you here? And I just kept hearing, she's here. She's here. There's no ego in these actions. And one thing you do, it's like, no matter what, you're going to work, you're going to achieve, you're going to grind. And it was really beautiful for me to see someone with no ego who had every right to have ego. You know, it's like, no, you're a series regular, girl. And you're like, and I'm also here. Like, I'm not better than this. Like, this is a gift. This is a blessing. And I think if people can adopt that mentality of going, you know, you say it's our job to do 90% of the work, but even after our work has been secured, we've achieved the dream, to not turn our nose up at any other thing, to not go, just because I've made it to this level, all these other levels don't count. You know, like, I will still go and I will do this work. I will still go and I will be this person. I will grind. I will put myself in a place where I'm open to any and everything. That was such a gift you gave me just in your actions. And I was like, wow, like, wow. And I think it does answer the question though, when it comes to, I'm sitting stagnant with these people and I'm just keeping them so I can say I have them, right? I'm like, when it comes to, my mentality is, if you're not growing, you're dying. You know, you think about plants. The second a plant stops growing, it immediately starts dying, right? And I'm like, if I'm in a relationship with someone I'm not speaking to, I'm not in a relationship with them. You know, they are a placeholder. And if they are a placeholder in my life, what is the fear? You know, if I leave them, I won't ever have. If you believe if you leave these people, you will never have another set of managers and agents and reps, then you are not, I'm sorry, you're not worthy of the dream. The dream is too big for you. You know what I'm saying? If you do not believe that you are good enough to achieve another rep, why would the reps that you have want to be with you? You know, if I'm in a relationship that's toxic, if I'm dating someone and I'm not speaking to them, and I was like, but I can't break up with them because then I'll be alone and I will never find love again. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe you need to learn to love yourself. If you can't stand on your own 2 feet, if fear is the controlling agent, you know, then what is the point? Yeah. I'm like, go home, move back to Idaho, go back to Pollock, Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that scarcity mindset is never going to award you abundance.
Never. We become what we believe.
Yeah.
You know, period. And also look at the 5 closest people. If the 5 closest people around you, just like, just sit.
Stay.
I'm like,
you're so lucky. You're so
lucky. Oh my God, I wish. And I'm like, yeah, I was lucky to get this.
Yeah.
But also
to learn this lesson.
Lesson. Yes, Natalie. Yes. But I'm like, I refuse. And there's a difference in going, we're in a strike right now, I'm not getting any auditions.
Right.
You know, look at the circumstances of the world, obviously. Like check them out. Like, oh, there's a difference in, I've communicated with my team what I like. You know, I don't want to go in for this. I don't want to go in for this. I don't want to go in for this. I would love this. I am a white male who's, 31 years old, like blah, blah, blah. Like, and right now it would be hard for me to get auditions, blah, 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 blah. And I'm mad at my team because I'm not getting auditions and da, 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 da. And you're like, all right, well, just like take a seat, wait 6 months. And you're like, like it's different. But if you're like 2 years into a relationship, not doing anything, like, all right, time to reevaluate. Right. And chances are your team is probably like, he's a really nice guy, but like,
exactly. Take inventory on like how many times have you guys communicated? What have those been about? Do they have a plan for you in your career?
Do you have a plan for you in your career? I'm like, one thing that is I'm starting to get irate about. And it's, for me, I'm like, I will not ask my team, what do you see for me? If I don't have vision for myself. If I'm asking that question, it's about alignment. It's not about like, I need you to tell me who I am. And if I do need you to tell me who I am, I need a therapist.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's like I need a life coach. Like, you know,
Truly, like stop what you're doing right now and look up a life coach, an affordable one in your area. Look up a therapist that takes your insurance. Like talk to someone. Get, stream of conscious, write some shit out.
Right.
If you knew what would come out on a piece of paper, if you just wrote and did not judge yourself, the things that would come out, you guys, are not something you would ever think that you would write. But you have to say before you do it, you have to go, this means nothing. I'm not judging myself, because if you start making it like, I want to make this sound good. Should I post this one day? No.
Right. You don't write it like someone's going to read it.
No.
Yeah.
This is your thoughts, your weird thoughts, like, or your non-weird thoughts, or your basic ass thoughts, whatever. And when you go back and read that, you're like, and you don't have to read it that day. You can read it 2 weeks later, never, whatever. But you're like, holy shit, my intuition was totally telling me the right thing, or this is what I was feeling, or this is who I am, or this is what I want to achieve. It's all there. We just don't create the time and space to feel it or think it or be it.
And, I think creative people get really overwhelmed, right? They're like, I have to find a therapist. I have to look up. Like, not everybody has an Natalie work ethic, Yeah. Like, something I'm learning in my life is discipline. I may sound very disciplined right now. I am not. I'm very go with the flow. Everything works out for me. My life will be what it is. If someone tells me to look something up, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, somebody will look it up for me and give it to me if it's supposed to. I'll meet somebody on the street. I'm like, if you don't want to do that, go take like a breathwork class. Go to YouTube and Google breathing, 100%. And I was like, your breath alone will unlock so much. And then sit down with a piece of paper or the notes in your phone and just throw up. And that's doing it without judgment. It's like, because if we're the first people judging us, no wonder we think everybody's judging us, you know? But if we are no longer judging us, you know what that does? It releases us from caring about what other people are thinking. It's amazing.
Which is the number one crutch. And I deal with it all the time.
Yeah. I care about what you're thinking right now. Yeah. I'm like, am I am I slouching?
Totally. All the time. Are you kidding me? I mean, just doing a podcast, like people think like, oh, that's so cool. And it fucking is. It's so cool. But every single day I have to do my morning routine and sit down and remind myself, hey, none of this really fucking matters.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself too seriously. No one's judging or caring about you. Everyone's caring about themselves. Go into the world being as fearless and joyful and grateful as possible, and be gracious with yourself when you don't feel joy or you don't feel gratitude or you feel frustrated. Just breathe. And I love your advice on breathwork. I just started doing breathwork. Holy shit, there was some screaming and crying. And like the fact that even happened, like I'm not a very openly vulnerable and emotional person. And for me to lay in a room with 6 people and do the breath work, which is, this was, I think, Wim Hof, which is like,
Yeah. He'll mess you up. Yeah.
And I was like, Natalie, just do it. Cause I get really scared about being affected by like I don't do any drugs or take even like Advil. I get weird. I don't
take medicine either.
Yeah. I don't want to get in weird headspaces. And so I was a little nervous and I was like, Natalie, this is breathing. So if it does take you to a weird place, it's organic.
It's certified organic breathing.
It's natural, non-GMO.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did it. And sure enough, I'm in this space of, the cramping and your whole body is just taken to this other place and these dormant emotions are released. And my one of my best friends, Jasmine Mason, who just got her license in teaching breathwork classes, she had us all bring a journal. So it was sitting there for after the class. And we did 45 minutes. And then, I just wrote everything. And you know what came to my head was so weird. My boyfriend and I were having like, not just like a little like, not even an argument, a conversation about like us and our love for each other. And it got really deep. And that was that morning. And then I went to this breathwork class. And what came out for me was like, holy fuck, I love this person so much. And he loves me so much. And that truly fills me with joy and almost this overwhelming gratitude for him. It was weird. Like, it was like, I feel so grateful for this human being, whereas I take him for granted sometimes, And that breathwork class, for some weird reason, moved spaces in me that was like, no, don't take people that love you so much for granted. Like, cherish them. And that would have just never come out if I didn't sit down and breathe,
right. And it's such a simple thought,
Such a simple thought. That's not profound.
Yeah, people think that in order to unlock my life, I have to discover the mysteries of the universe. And it's like, no, I remember Like literally when someone's like, my friend Tina Jackson once, she like looked at me randomly, was like, hey, unclench. And I was like, huh? And I say that to myself all the time now. And I'm like, I didn't realize I was walking around with a tight butthole. You know, just like, I'm like, unclench.
Oh my God, stop.
I was like, wow, just, oh, was having tension everywhere, my jaw, my hands.
Shoulders are up here all the time.
And I'm like, no wonder. We're like,
yeah, we're walking.
I'm fine. And then people who drink coffee are like, I'm fine. Why do you have anxiety?
Yeah, like, literally. I wonder why.
Unclench, baby, relax. Like you said, life is so simple. Like
it really is.
We make things hard, and yes, there are difficult things that affect us. Obviously, there are horrible things that affect the world. Obviously, but if we can daily just check in with ourselves and be like, hey, are you okay? Oh, yeah, you're okay. All right, then we got this. All right, what's our goal for today? Be a good person. Be a better person than you were yesterday. Okay. Yeah. We may not make it to good today, but like we will be good for us today. All right, smile at one person. Like whatever, one simple thing we can do. It will radically unlock. I don't know. I think one of the biggest things I've ever learned in my life was that like nothing is about me. You know, I'm like we are living on a ball that's hurtling through space that is ever expanding, and like we are microscopic in terms of the universe.
So small.
And I'm like, things may feel big because, oh my gosh, my friend just taught me this. She was looking up the word enlighten, and so she Googled the definition of light, and the definition of light is the natural agent that stimulates sight and makes things visible. That is what light is. Light is a natural agent, right? And I had really been like looking into talent. Like there's a story in the Bible that talks about this king that gives 3 men talent. Like and the first person, I don't know the exact number, so you Bible quiz scholar, like just relax. For the story, he gives one person 5 talents, one person 3 talents, another person 1 talent. And he's like, I'll see you in a few years, right? So they all go off. The person with 1 talent is like, I was only given 1 talent, so he buries the talent because he doesn't want to lose it. They come back. The person who had 5 talents has 15 now. The person who has 3 has 9 now. And the person who was given 1 was so proud. And he's like, oh, look, I kept my talent. And the king shamed him. And he's like, you don't bury your talents in the sand, right? So I'm like, don't bury your talent in the sand. Why that's resonating? I'm like, hold up. So then I Google talent. And I'm like, what is talent? Talent is, by definition, God-given. You cannot become talented at something. It is literally you are talented or you are not talented. And so people, they're like, all people are created equal. Nope. I do not believe that. I'm not about to go outside and run and be as fast as Usain Bolt. I'm like, all people are not created equal. Like we are given special talents. Like
everyone is talented, but there's specific talents that each of us have.
Exactly. My finger is not a toe. My heart is not a brain, and like some people in this world are hearts. Some people in this world are hands. Some people in this world are brains, eyes, like, and we are given talents, right? Talent is God given. And then I was like, okay, then I looked up skill. Skills are acquired. Skills you have to work for. And so often, because I'm someone who's given a lot of talents, I will get to the top of my talent and then go, once skill is required, and this is when we get to work ethic, discipline, heart, I'm like, I just won't do it. And so I feel like, and then that's when ego kicks in, that's when entitlement kicks in, that's when all these things kick in. And so I pulled back and I was like, all right, God, reveal to me, like, what am I burying in the sand? Like what actually are my talents and what are something that I've earned? I was listening to Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. And he's like, some green lights are given to you and some green lights are earned. And he talks about different moments in his journey where he had to fight for a green light. And I was like, make me aware of when I need to fight. And I was like, now, because in my life, I will achieve. I know that. But I'm never going to achieve as much as I am destined to if I don't learn how to acquire skills beyond my talents. And when you look at the word enlighten, right, you think about light being a natural agent that occurs. I'm like, there are people in this world. It's a natural agent. All right, some people will possess more light. Like, like some people will be talented in in light, what we have to learn is how to adjust our aperture. If you look at a camera, there's an aperture that will zoom in, zoom out, and an aperture literally controls the view. If you are a camera operator, all right, and you're like, that is not true.
Don't come at Dev.
Don't come at Dev. All right. Hashtag don't come at Dev. But an aperture, okay, it adjusts like your view, or that's, and so when you're super close to something, and you can only see this much. So we talk about people who aren't working and they're like, well, I'm right here and I'm this close to it. You're not letting light in, right? We have to learn how to adjust the apertures of our life to go, is this a skill or is this a talent? Do I possess this talent? If not, if I'm not very talented in this, it is now my job to be skilled at it. You know, some people are really good at crying. Some people cannot cry to save their lives. They have to develop a skill in that. Some people have a really good work ethic. Some people do not. I have to become skilled in working.
Wow.
Like, I am a hard worker, but I don't work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
and you're naturally talented at so many things that I wouldn't. Yeah.
And
at people. No, I was gonna say. Whereas, believe it or not, I'm actually not at relationships. I feel, I don't know. I'm still discovering that part of me, because my boyfriend is really good at it. And since, you know, I'm like a mirror at this point, we're like mirrors of each other, you know, I'm like, holy fuck, why do I'm so defensive and off. Like, I'm very like, I love more the merrier, but getting super close isn't my thing. Where for you, you're naturally talented at just like you should have a podcast, you know, just getting to know people on such a deep and genuine level. And, you know, dev games, like hosting a lot of people.
Well, and that's why, if I look at my 5, right? I remember I was having a conversation with my best friend, Shane Davis, and he was saying, he's like, I just want to be my own superhero. And I was like, that's a great thought. Like, yeah, sure. But if it was left up to me and I was my own superhero, I would be such a mediocre superhero. Like, I'd be like, all right, I can levitate, you know, like, it's like, yeah, that's special. But if anyone else has powers, it's like, well,
you're done.
Yeah. But if I think about the 5 closest people around me, all being superpowered people, you know, and I'm like, what is Natalie? She taught me so much by just showing up to a job that most series regulars would have turned their nose up at, while also being a series regular. You know, like she taught me so much by starting her own business, and literally that business not yielding a crazy profit, but she is literally working and working and working. She's like, I have a vision for like this is going to give back to the community. I have this plan. Literally on your Instagram the other day, you're like, what other business should I start? You know, like, I have a podcast. I'm just like, wow, just the way you live your life, I can see your power, you know, like, and I was like, if I keep Natalie close to me by proximity, my weakness it will be forced to pull up, because Natalie's in growth.
Wow. Yeah.
She's growing. If the people around me are growing, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to stay down here. Yeah. I was like, I will be forced to grow. I'm like, there's a video that Debbie Allen, she's talking to her dancers, and it like rippled through me. You can Google it. And she's literally saying, pull up. She's like, if there is someone in here who is at the front and they miss, you know, she's like, everyone in here should be able to know their part. She's like, if you're in the back, she's like, the 9-year-old should be like, I can do it. Put me in the front. I'm ready, because you should be doing the work. Pull up. It's one of those moments, unclench, pull up, you know, and position people around you that can support the magnitude of your dream, and also be a person who can support the magnitude of your friend's dream. If you are bigger than your friend's dreams, you know, if everyone around you are like ants and you are this like human with the magnifying glass, I'm like, why? Why are you positioning people around you like that?
You're not going to grow.
You're not going to grow. And that doesn't mean throw away people, but it's like,
there's a ceiling there.
There's a ceiling there. And it also tells me something about you. I'm like, do you have a God complex? Like,
right.
why do you want small people around you? And it's like, all right, if you're someone who's really small and you only have all these really big people around you, you know, it's like, there's balance to everything, but I think it is required for us to always stay in a position where we can be really close to things. We can adjust the aperture of our life and see it from a wide perspective. We position people in us around us that we trust, who are in growth, who we can inspire growth. And then when you are the hands, I'm the feet, she is the eyes, you're the ear, she is the mind. Like, we create this like beautiful like harmony, and then it's not right versus left. It's not like political versus non-political. It's not like
so beautiful. Yeah.
Like antics versus this. It's just, we are all different. We literally are all different.
Yes.
We come from different parts of the world and do all these different things, and we commonality is growth. Commonality is respect. Commonality is basic human decency. Commonality is these things. And I know, from the ground up, how do you grow? Well, one, talents are not seeds. Stop burying your talents in the sand. Like, be proud of yourself. And if you're not proud of yourself, get to know yourself, because I bet there's something you can be proud of.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're beautiful.
You've inspired me so much in this podcast.
I feel inspired.
So excited. Wow. Okay, I have a question for you. If you could make one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
Like, don't do that. One law that everyone in the world had to follow.
Mine is that everyone would have to have a morning routine.
Mm.
Like, they would have to wake up and have an hour of like quiet time to themselves.
Oh, I was like, I have a morning routine. It's stay in bed past my alarms. I do that every morning.
Every single morning.
Every single morning.
Don't miss a day.
I really will just sleep in. I think no one's allowed to lie.
Ooh.
Like, no lies. Mm-mm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it will teach people to be slow to speak. They're like, if my only option here is to lie, I won't talk. If like, don't speak unless it can be
Everyone's
honest.
just walking like, no,
just like, and I'm like, because I do, there's, when it comes to lying, there's like, well, what if it's for someone's better interest? What if you don't know it's a lie? And I'm like, if you don't know it's a lie, then you don't know.
Then
like,
it's
then it's not a lie,
yeah.
But I'm like, if you know you're about to lie to somebody, don't. And I think that will breed a community of honesty, a world of honesty, and at least will give people the opportunity to know where they stand. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I forget who it is. This might be a fact check moment. I don't know. This author, she set out to not lie for a whole year,
mm-hmm.
and it radically changed her life. And she speaks about it now, but she truly, no white lies, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
She just spoke the truth every time that she spoke out of her mouth. And I believe she like got a divorce, like all of these things that would have never happened, because she might not have known that she needed, that the divorce was supposed to happen, but just by being honest every day with simple things throughout the day, it led to like a radically different life.
Oh my gosh, you just reminded me of something. So I have a friend, her name is Jessica, and she was telling me about this phenomenon that happens every time you lie. Essentially, there's this part. Oh my gosh, I wish I knew this for facts. Okay, never mind. I can't talk about it. But essentially, this is the theory. Look it up. Everyone needs to Google this, because it literally was like, what? Essentially, when you say something, your brain has to process it twice. So let's say you go, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm great. And I'm not great. My brain processes the emotion and goes, oh, I'm great. And then it processes the lie. And what it does, it creates irradical innings. It creates some kind of thing that creates trauma in your brain. So every time you say something that's a lie,
Wow.
it literally creates a trauma in your brain. And I wish I had the actual details and the words about
That makes
this.
sense, though.
Incongruent thinking. It's called incongruent thinking.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And when incongruent thinking happens, it creates little traumas in your head. So I bet that radically changed your life.
Cleared up. It went from like gray area in the brain to just like cleared.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, and this is something that you can start right now. Talk about like creating healthy habits, right? Because we all lie on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And so just by consciously, picking up that habit of like, hey, I'm going to try this for the week, like just little things. And then it adds up and then it adds up. And then you become a more honest person.
Right. What's one of the 4 agreements? Being impeccable with your word.
That's right.
Right. And that's actually last year. I was like, I'm going to become impeccable with my word. And it starts with self. I was like, the number one people we lie to are ourselves. And if we weren't lying to ourselves, we wouldn't be lying to people.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, it all comes back to know yourself, love yourself, stop lying to yourself. And people won't stay with their agents that aren't working for them, or that they're not working for their agents long past the due date, if they're not lying to themselves.
That's right. Because it's going to weigh, it's going to start weighing heavier and heavier. And then there's going to be a point where you're just like, no, I've done too much self-work. I value myself too much.
Yeah. Integrity.
Yeah. And I feel like, that's everything that magic is, right? It's like taking that time in the morning or whenever to just, hey, what's going on? How am I feeling today? What's coming out? Pen to paper. Like, what are my intentions? Oh, wow. I want to I keep writing that I want to cook a new meal and I haven't done it. Like I keep writing it. Maybe I think today is the day, you know, like I feel like in today's society that one of the hardest things, and it happens to me all the time, is just like really creating that time to put your nose in a book and get tangible and get grounded and go on those walks and take that time to yourself. So it's important for us to like set that goal to do that. And
you know what's so funny is people can hear this and they will be like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to do this. And they'll talk to all their friends about it. And they'll be like, oh my, I'm going to start doing this thing. I was talking to my friend Sammer Salem, who I'm in love with. If you're listening to this, I love
Sammer.
Yes, we love Sammer. And he was saying that, because fun fact about Sammer, not only is he an amazing actor, he is like a nurse and has been like literally licensed professional. And he was saying that people get dopamine hits from being excited about doing something. So they'll talk about changing their lives. They experience a dopamine hit and then that's enough for them. Wow. So you don't know that. So you'll be like, oh my God, let's say I'm going to start a podcast today, and you talk to all your friends. I'm going to do this, and you make these plans and and it never happens because your needs were met.
Whoa.
You experienced the high, then you moved on. And so people are going to listen to this. They're like, oh my gosh, absolutely. It takes no time. But what kicks in is, oh, you need to develop skills in this. You need to be disciplined in this. 99% of the people are not going to be disciplined in this. And that's when they talk about, oh, the people who work are the people who work. You know, the people who have are the people who do. You know, the people who become are the people who literally become.
Right.
It's like, and yes, every single person is capable. Every single person has access to growing, period. It doesn't matter what environment you were born into. I literally was raised in a trailer park, like straight up, like people were like no resources. And I'm here today, you know? And it's like, well, how did that happen? It's like, I planted myself in whatever soil was underneath me. And I was like, grow, and don't stop growing, you know, grow. And if people in my life, if you're not growing, you got to go, you know, grow, go.
It sounds like a little, it's like a couple principles that can keep you going.
And discipline, and that's where accountability comes in.
I feel like discipline is a really hard one in this day and age, right? People
don't want to work.
Entitled. It's true though.
Yeah.
So Devin, where can everyone find you on social media and on Peacock?
I am on Instagram. I also have the other things, but just at the Devin Way, TheDevinWay, like the Devin Way. I mainly post memes, so tune in.
Oh my God, his stories are insane. Sometimes I repost them and I'm like, I'm not going to tell Devin. He gets too many DMs. Like, I'm just going to repost this.
No, I love it when people are like, ha ha ha, because I'm like, thank God y'all have a sense of humor. Because a bunch of people say that to me in real life.
But they don't respond
to my stories. So I'm like,
is.
Does anyone think this is funny?
Wait, that's a good point. You guys, if you think someone is cool, funny, you like their outfit, they inspired you to eat healthier that day, they inspired you to go on a walk. Like, if you can, tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're validation addicts. We love
it. Truly.
It's how we keep going.
It's literally how we keep going. Someone tells me they like my outfit, and I'm like, I got to make a whole YouTube tutorial on.
No one ever tells you ever again. Yeah. Like, make it stop.
The Devin Way, then you can watch Devin.
Oh yeah, you can watch Queer as Folk on Peacock. It's one glorious season of amazingness. And then I'm going to be in a bunch of more stuff coming out soon. So just wait. And soon is anywhere between now and the next 50 years. Yeah. So just stay tuned.
All right, thank you, Devin.
Yeah, thank you.